Eagle 95.1, WUPN, Paradise, Sault Ste. Marie.
It's time for The Game. Eagle 95.1 proudly brings you The Game, the Twin Sault's only regional and national sports show. For the next hour, we'll get an in-depth look at sports in the Eastern Upper Peninsula and Algoma region and hear from coaches and players involved in The Game. Now, let's join Scott Nason at the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street in downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, for tonight's broadcast of The Game on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Greetings and salutations and welcome to The Game on this Monday night, October 22nd, 2018. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this absolutely beautiful fall evening in Sault Ste. Marie. Back after a couple-week hiatus here at the Wicked Sister. Want to thank Kathy, Scott, and the entire crew at the Wicked Sister for making us feel like home. And they make you feel like home, whether you're family or not, or they'll treat you like family, whether you are family or not, and lots of big events going on at the Wicked Sister, including a new menu scheduled to hit the Wicked Sister on November 5th as well. The Wicked Sister is your new post-game home for Lake Superior State University hockey, as the Hockey Lakers will start their home season or resume their home schedule next weekend. Come on down to the Wicked Sister after the hockey game. We'll be joined around 6:15 by Zeke, Kaunisto, the general manager of the Soo Indians, and we will be talking Laker hockey at 6:30. Not sure if it's a coach or a player, or if not, we may just be talking Laker hockey and Laker athletics in general. And then around 6:45, we'll be talking to Butch Davis from Butch On Sports about the weekend that was in the Metro Detroit area. Now, the game is a full 2-hour show. We do the first hour on the radio from 6 to 7 o'clock, but we podcast the entire 2-hour show, including Eagle 95.1's own Katie Woolen, along with Dave McKay from Sioux, Ontario, who will be joining us, along with E.J. Russell, on the roundtable. And you can find the full 2-hour show on the website, thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. We have lots of local sports information to get through, so let's get right to it, including high school football, as the last weekend of the regular season was this past weekend. And let's talk about the teams that had their seasons end, including the Brimley Bays. They fell in their last game at Rapid River by an 80-55 score. Now, that was football, not basketball. It sounds like a basketball score, but a lot of offense in that one as Brimley ends their season 1-8. Rudyard Bulldogs ended their season on Friday with a win over Superior Central by the score of 14-6, and the Bulldogs end their season at 4-5. The Soo High Blue Devils needed a win over Gaylord on Friday night to clinch their berth into the postseason, and it was all Blue Devils. The visiting Blue Devils, as Gaylord shut out the Soo High Blue Devils by the score of 41-0, and so the Soo High Blue Devils season ends at 5-4. St. Ignace, big turnaround season. They didn't have enough wins to make the playoffs, but they finished the season with a 5-4 mark after beating Gaylord St. Mary's by the score of 44-0 this past Friday. And the Newberry Indians, regular season not the best. They end the season 3-6, but they do win. They defeat East Jordan on Friday night by the score of 40-0. So there are 3 teams that we did not mention yet because they're all playoff bound, including the undefeated Pickford Panthers, as they ended their regular season on the road, defeating Cedarville by the score of 48-6. get this, the Panthers outscored their opponents this season 506-75. And they're going to be at home for 2, probably 3 home games during the playoffs as they are in the 8-player Division I playoffs. There are 2 divisions in 8-player football, Division I and Division II, Division I being the larger schools, Division II being the smaller schools. And so Pickford, they're going to be at home this Friday night at 7 o'clock to take on Fife Lake Forest area, with the winner of that game taking on either Suttons Bay or Onaway. If it's Pickford, they'll have that game at home, and then they'll have their next game at home, no matter who wins, on the other side of the bracket. Cedarville, they end their season at 5-4, but they do get into the playoffs in 8-player Division II. They are going to be traveling to Hillman to take on the Tigers. That game also Friday at 7 o'clock, with the winner of that one taking on Posen or Kindy North Huron. Now, Cedarville cannot host that game. They're the lowest of the 4 seeded teams. So Cedarville's going to have a tough task at a very good Hillman squad. The Engadine Eagles, they finished their season 8-1 on Friday as they knocked off defending state champion Crystal Falls Forest Park by the score of 52-42. So Engadine, we thought they might be able to host 2 playoff games. Well, they still can. But if it's Powers North Central defeating Crystal Falls Forest Park, which I think it will, then Engadine will have to travel to Powers. However, Engadine still has to get through the next opponent, which will be Rapid River, as they will host Rapid River on Friday night at 7 o'clock. So Pickford, Cedarville, Engadine all in the playoffs. Engadine and Pickford at home, while Cedarville has to travel downstate to take on Hillman. So best of luck to all the EUP squads. Let's move on to high school cross country. The UP finals were this past weekend, this Saturday, in a very cold conditions, and it was the Soo High Blue Devils performing very well. As a matter of fact, they won both the Division I boys and girls team title. Soo High placed 5 runners in the top 14, and the boys, as Houghton finished second, Gladstone third. Gladstone senior Adam Bruce won the race, followed by Joe Wood, and then Caleb Ranta for the Sioux finished 4th. So congratulations to the Soo High Blue Devils boys team. In Division II, Newberry finished 3rd. Division II was won by Ishpeming. And in Division III, Brimley finished 2nd, while Rudyard finished 3rd in the team competition. And it was Austin Plotkin once again winning another UP championship in Division III, with Thomas Bone of Cedarville finishing 2nd, and Mason Camry of Brimley finished 3rd. So congratulations to the Soo High Blue Devils boys cross-country team and to Austin Plotkin, who won his 2nd straight individual state championship in Division III. The Soo High girls cross-country team won the UP championship again. Marquette took 2nd. Haley Knowles was the highest individual finisher for the Soo High Blue Devils in 6th place. But Soo High had a bunch of runners finish in the top 25, and hence they win the state championship. Hancock won the UP championship in Division II, with St. Ignace placing 2nd, and Elizabeth Becker of St. Ignace was the individual winner in Division II. Cedarville finished 2nd in Division III, followed by Chassell, while Engadine was 5th and Brimley was 7th. So again, congratulations to the Soo High boys and girls cross-country teams winning the team titles in cross-country UP championships, while Austin Plotkin won the championship in Division III for the boys, and Elizabeth Becker won for the girls for St. Ignace. High school volleyball, we're starting to get close to districts and regionals. A few matches took place over the past week, including this past Thursday night. The Brimley Bays won Parents' Night in Brimley, winning by the score of 3-1. Over the Cedarville Trojans. Ivory Maxwell, she had 32 assists, while Abby LaRue had 11 kills and 11 digs for the Brimley Bays. Victoria Aiken, she had a double-double, 10 kills and 11 digs. And the Rudyard Bulldogs, they swept Pickford on Thursday in 3 straight sets. Sydney Zerb had 9 kills along with 2 blocks, 7 digs, 3 aces for the Rudyard Bulldogs. Rachel Beelan, she had 8 kills, 7 digs, and 2 blocks, while Sierra Molina set up the hitters with 14 assists, as the Rudyard Bulldogs 31-7-3 overall this season. That is a very good record. Let's move on to the Soo Greyhounds. We're going to be talking Soo Indians hockey coming up here in a couple minutes. Let's get to the Hounds quickly, as the Soo Greyhounds were at home this week, and they had a very successful homestand winning all 3 games this week, including Wednesday night at the Memorial Gardens, as Morgan Frost had a goal and 3 assists as the Hounds doubled up Saginaw by the score of 6-3 in a game I had a chance to attend on Friday night. It wasn't the prettiest game the Hounds have ever played, but Morgan Frost, he had a pair of goals, including the game winner in overtime, as the Hounds topped the Kingston Frontenacs by the score of 4-3. Joel Carroll and Barrett Hayton also had goals, while Mac Hollowell had 3 assists for the Soo Greyhounds. And the Hounds continued their winning ways on Saturday night, as the Greyhounds, in a rematch of last year's Ontario Hockey League final, they knocked off the Hamilton Bulldogs by the score of 4-3, as Keegan Howdeshell had 3 goals for the Hounds in front of over 4,200 fans at the Memorial Garden. So the Hounds, many people thought maybe were going to be mediocre. It might be a rebuilding effort. Right now they're on top of the West 8-3-2, and they'll be on the road this week. 3 games at Windsor on Thursday, at Kitchener on Friday, and at Guelph on Sunday. And finally, let's talk about the Sioux Eagles. They had a pair of games against the Espanola Express this weekend. The Eagles fell at Espanola on Friday night by the score of 4-2, as Kyle Quinn and George Orfanos had the goals for the Eagles. Eagles jumped out to a 2-0 lead, but then it was Espanola scoring 4 goals and skating away with the 4-2 win. And then on Saturday night, big game for the Eagles. They needed to stop the bleeding, and they did, as the Eagles, probably their most complete effort, at least that I've seen at home this year, as they defeated Espanola by the score of 6-1, as they had 6 different goal scorers, score in front of over 950 fans at Puller Stadium. And so the Eagles right now struggling a bit, but maybe getting some momentum with that last win, 6-10. They're going to be at home this weekend for Pink in the Rink at Puller Stadium, as they will take on the Hearst Lumberjacks on Friday and Timmins on Saturday. And all proceeds for the Pink in the Rink will go towards War Memorial Hospital and their Road to Recovery program. But we are not done talking about local hockey. We've just started, as our next guest has arrived. When we come back, we're going to talk Soo Indians hockey, as the Indians are at home a lot over the next few weeks and months, and so we're going to talk to their general manager, Zeke Kaunisto, about this year's squad. That's coming up next on The Game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get Wicked Catering from the crew at the Wicked Sister.
We like to think of ourselves as foodies. While our favorite foods are paired with a beer tasting at the Wicked Sister, you can now have the same creative menu for your next catered business luncheon, family get-together, wedding, or holiday party. Our white truffle risotto appeals to your gluten-free and vegetarian guests. Add sautéed shrimp or freshly grilled chicken for a pop of protein. Or let us build you a custom menu to suit your needs. From plated events of 15 to buffets for 200, the Wicked Sister will cater your event with tapas, snacks, cravables, or a full sit-down dinner.
The Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and additional home to the Game Sports Show, Sports Center Bar and Grill. Sports Center Bar and Grill, located on 624 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Sports Center rated top sports bar for the 2nd year in a row. At Sports Center, enjoy their famous 75-cent wing night along with delicious Molson products on tap, along with a great atmosphere and other great food options available as well. Sports Center Bar and Grill, the Sioux's best sports bar.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank an additional sponsor and special edition home to the game, Silver Creek Golf Course, located on 104 Bellow Lake Road, Garden River, Ontario. And also shout out thank you to Silver Creek GM Jamie Henderson. Silver Creek Golf Course has many specials to offer for 18 holes, 9 holes, and even Twilight Deal specials. It does not matter what your level of golf game is, it is a must to enjoy the scenic course, memorable experiences that Silver Golf Course offers. Silver Creek also offers a Thursday wing night for you to enjoy food after a stellar time on the course. You can book your tee time by phone or online at golfsilvercreek.com. Silver Creek Golf Course, where all are welcome to play.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com and thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this Monday night. And join us at the Wicked Sister every weekday for happy hour from 2 to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday. There you can get $2 domestic bottles and $1 off draft pints and house wines. We are joined right now by our next guest, no stranger to this show, no stranger to Sault Ste. Marie, Zeke Kaunisto, General Manager of the Soo Indians, joining us for the first time this year. Zeke, thanks for coming in and joining us here as the hockey season as well. Been going on for a while now.
Yeah, thanks for having me. We're a couple of weeks into our season now, and everything's going pretty good. We're getting off to a decent start. We actually won the silver division at the CompuWare Classic a couple weeks ago. We lost our first game, had a couple guys tossed out, and then we came back and battled our way into Sunday and ended up getting a trophy finally. So it was all good. And then to keep the boys rolling, it's been a struggle though, because we have kind of a short roster yet. We're still missing a couple guys. We're trying to fill a couple positions, but so far so good.
Zeke, let's first of all talk about the mission or what you as a general manager looks for with a team like this. Midget AAA, obviously Tier 1, you're playing some very good hockey, you're playing a lot of good teams, but, if you had a mission statement or something that explained what you want out of your team, your players each year, what would it be?
Our team, it's held together yet. It's a lot of work from me, Jerry, and Rick. Our mission statement is 100% to give a local kid that has the talent to play at the Tier 1 division an opportunity to keep playing. Because just like Ashton just walked in here, Calder plays at Lake Superior. Right. He is a former player of ours. Denver Pierce is a captain up at Northern Michigan University. Brenny McLaren's a captain at Janesville. Casey Gilling's playing at Miami of Ohio. Spencer Dembesti's in NA out in Springfield, Illinois. And it's just to give an opportunity. And those are all local kids or UP kids.
Right.
And everybody always says, well, the Indians, their record's usually so-so, and they're always getting their butts whipped. But at the end of the day, we do build character out of our players, and when they move on, they're ready to play because they're not. I wouldn't say the silver spoon kids from other places. They actually have to be a blue-collar worker and a hard worker, and that at the end of the day they're a good player and they got good character. So that's our mission statement.
And doing the Sioux Eagles games, you'll see a lot of players that have played for the Indians. One that catches my attention is Brendan Miller, playing for the Sioux Thunderbirds, and players like that. And looking at this year's squad, Coach, who are some of the players, some of the local players here from the Eastern Upper Peninsula? I know you got a couple from the Sioux, St. Ignace, Newberry. Just give us a snapshot of some of the locals.
Okay, well, Chase Telaire, he's still a young guy. He's a 02 birth year that can still be playing midget minor.
And a familiar last name to Laker fans.
His dad was a big Laker standout. I think he's still a leading scorer, all-time leading scorer at Lake Superior. But Chase is back for second year, and he's a young guy from St. Ignace, Michigan. And we're looking for big things out of Chase. He's having a hard time hitting the twine right now, but he's just kind of stymied. But hopefully Chase comes around and we get our wheels rolling. And another big guy from Escanaba, Michigan, the Bark River, Colton Hayes.
Yep.
He came from high school over that way from Escanaba. And Colton's a big kid, 6'4", 210 pounds, and he's in his last year. And he's actually got a lot of North American Hockey League teams that are after him. And he's going on a visit to I'm just going to say a visit.
Visit, yep.
Yeah, we'll just keep it at that.
I get you there,
And that's in a couple weeks from now, so he's going to miss a home game against Belle Tire, but he'll be back for the Sunday game. Other locals, we have Cooper Schmiel, and Cooper is his first year playing with us. He's 6 foot, 150 pound, 2002 birth year, and he's a young guy too. That's coming around really well. He's going to be a good player for us, and another local kid. Brad MacArthur is playing with us this year. He came from Sioux High last year. And he kind of role player, killing penalties and helping on minutes where, the top guys needed a break. But Brad's really doing a good job. He's really filling in good. He's got a real good role with us, and he's doing well. Another UP kid, Warner Young from Newberry. He was here and trained all summer. Big defenseman, birth year 2000. And big things. Warner's got to turn the page here shortly and get things rolling for himself. Because he can play. He's got a lot of potential, but he's got to show up and start playing. and I'm sure he will. But otherwise, it's all good.
One of the things that you had happen last week, Zeke, was playing the Soo Thunderbirds, their midget AAA team, the River City Sports team, and it was the Indians prevailing by the score of 3-2. Getting that rivalry kind of renewed or started, how did that go about? I mean, as far as I know, you guys haven't really played each other much over the past little while, have you?
No, the past couple years, the last time we played him, Jimmy Cappy was there, and he would play us like once a week if we could.
Right.
But the new coach, Mike Creedon, I think.
Okay.
He's a coach or manager, and he called and he wanted to set up some games during the week, and so we have 4 games scheduled, which is awesome, and it was good. It was really good. You know, they're about the same, a little younger than us actually, but their depth was good. It was a good game. Some points was sloppy for both sides, but it's awesome to have a home game in the middle of the week, and we don't have to travel. It really helps the budget having 4 games with just somebody across the river. I mean, for not playing them the last few years was just craziness because we play anybody that wants to play us around here. You know, we're wide open to that, and we're very thankful that they're playing us this year. So it's a good thing, good fit.
Zeke Kaunisto joining us on the game. The Soo Indians are at home a lot. Zeke, as I mentioned, you had a couple games this weekend against Fox Motors. You're taking on Victory Honda at the Taffy Able Arena this Saturday at 6 o'clock, and then Sunday at 10 a.m. And, you know, you look in November, you have Belle Tire, Thunder Bay, Meyer, Little Caesars. I mean, it's a great schedule to put together to get so many home games.
Yeah, it worked out well this year because we're in the Tier 1 league in Michigan now, and I should have been in Detroit for a meeting today, but I've been quite busy. But everybody has to play home and home now. So it really benefits us because sometimes the Detroit guys think they're just a little bit too good to cross that bridge. But
I've heard that.
Yeah, but them days are over. They either come across the bridge or we're just going to take the points. So they're on their way up every other weekend, and it's great for us and great for Sioux hockey.
Talk about, Zeke, some of the other coaches, staff, billet parents, volunteers that help out with the Soo Indians. It's not easy to put together a team and to try to keep funding and get everybody happy. So who are some of the people helping you out once again this year?
Well, Sean Tillaire's back for a second year as our head coach, and Sean comes up from St. Ignace to coach. I know his son's on the team, but still it's a lot of time and effort, and he does not treat it like his son's on the team by no means. Sean's doing a good job with us, and he'll be the first to admit last year was his first year coaching at Tier 1. The guy's played everywhere. He's played pro hockey, but still, when you're behind the bench, there's a lot going on, and he admitted it. He says, hey, man, there's a lot, and I'm learning, and he is getting better at it, and he's doing really well. Rick Corbier, he does everything with me.
He's still around.
Yeah.
Hasn't retired yet.
He just chases players, and, I mean, we just do so much. And Terry Barbo's our goalie coach. And Terry comes over. He's from across the river, and he's been coaching every level for many, many years. Like our coach, all the guys doing this are getting up there in age. But we're going, oh, boy, hope the tires don't come off in these days. And then we got Jerry Harwood. He's labeled as director of off-ice operations, but Jerry does everything else. So he chases players and does a lot of the housing and rostering players, paperwork.
Every organization needs a guy like that, or a girl like that, don't they?
Oh, yeah, Jerry does a great job, though. There's a lot of paperwork involved in this now, and it just piles up. But it's a lot of work. And we got 2 equipment managers because obviously there's a lot of stuff to do at the rink and keeping guys bandaged up and playing and ready to go. And it's Marty Picaro and Mark Meehan. And Alan MacArthur is one of our off-ice trainers that comes in once a week and works the guys out in the sack. And luckily we're available. I mean, we get to use everything at the college is ours to use. It's
been a nice arrangement with the Indians, hasn't it?
Yeah, the college is wonderful to us, and their doors are wide open, and it's a great fit for us also.
So if there's someone, Zeke, final question here before we let you go, wanting to see some of these games, again, you're going to be playing a lot of Saturday night and Sunday morning games at the Taffy Able Arena. What is the charge to get in, and how would someone go about seeing a game?
There is no charge because we cannot charge.
That's right.
Yeah, the AAA Midget cannot charge a gate fee, which we wish we could, but we can't. But it probably makes it easier if we don't. But the next few weekends, Victory Honda is always a great team. I think they're nationally ranked in the 20s. When Belle Tire comes here, all I can say is hold on to your hat for us because they're number 2 in the country right now.
A very good team this year.
Yeah, I think we're in the 90s, and they're number 2. So we'll be chasing a lot of Red Wing-looking jerseys around the rink.
Very, very familiar looking jerseys.
If our guys show up, it's always we haven't got blown out of a game yet. And we've been all over the place, but the guys just have to work hard every day. That's the biggest thing right now, is to get the boys on the same page and work every day. And otherwise, we'll be fine. And like you said, we got a great home schedule, and we were gone for a month, and now we're home for just a couple of weeks here and there. We're gone, and then it should all work well for us.
Yeah, get on out to the Taft Able Arena, support the Soo Indians. Great hockey. You're going to see a lot of these players go on to bigger and better things. Zeke Kaunisto joining us here at the Wicked Sister, general manager of the Soo Indians. Zeke, thanks for coming in as always. Love having you on. We'll try to get you on here as the season goes along, and maybe you can wear a different hat there. That big yellow M there.
Yeah. Well, this weekend's game, you kind of got to wear it.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
And I'm not wearing my Michigan State hat for a reason.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what we can do, though, coming up here. Maybe one of these games during Thanksgiving or something, get you guys up there at the radio.
Hey, you know what? We'd love to do it, and we'll definitely talk about that.
Okay.
Zeke Kaunisto, thanks
Sounds
for joining
good.
us.
Yeah, thank you.
And we'll be back talking Laker hockey with one of their players, Ashton Calder, who's going to be joining us to talk about the season and his hockey career. That's coming up next on The Game here on Eagle 95.1.
The Wicked Sister, Soo, Michigan. Check TripAdvisor, ranked right towards the top. Awarded the Certificate of Excellence, as well as voted #1 pub in the UP. The Wicked Sister has managed to create a casual menu that offers unique, creative, and sometimes healthy offerings that rivals menu selections of any big city. Burgers and starters, snacks and shareable soups and salads, sandwiches and tapas. On Ashman Street, Soo, Michigan. Welcome to the Wicked Sister, where you'll be treated like family, whether you like it or not.
The Game Sports Show is pleased to shout out a partner, additional home, and sponsor to Northern Superior Brewing Company, located on 50 Pym Street in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company having a strong presence locally with many beers to offer. With much involvement in the community of Sault Ste. Marie, Northern has a sport and friendly-like atmosphere within its tap room, and during the summer months, it is a must to visit Pier 55 to enjoy some delicious food, amazing view of the water, and view of the Bush Pulling Museum, right on the cusp of the Hub Trail, and of course, all of that down with a delicious brew from Northern Superior. Northern Superior Brewing Company. It's a northern thing.
Welcome back to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street. Our broadcast engineer tonight is Dallas Miller. Want to thank our guest, Zeke Kaunisto, the general manager of the Soo Indians. Will be joined here in about 10-15 minutes by Butch Davis from Butch On Sports, who will get us up to date on what's going on in the Metro Detroit sports scene. And we are joined right now by our next guest. He is a Laker hockey player and Soo, Michigan native, Ashton Calder, joining us here at the Wicked Sister. Ashton, thanks for joining us and welcome to the show.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Well, Ashton, looking at the season before we get a little bit into your background, a good start, a very good start for the Hockey Lakers. You guys start the season at Merrimack, winning a pair of one-goal games, 5-4 and 1-0, and then a couple weekends ago at home against Nipissing, winning by the score of 3-1 and 4-0. So technically your record is 2-0, but you have 4 wins to start the season. Being this your freshman year, how are things going so far?
Things are going great. The guys are great. We're just kind of getting adapted. We've only had 4 games, and some teams played more, but kind of getting closer before the season starts, so it's kind of nice.
Now, Ashton, you're one of not a whole lot of local players from Sault Ste. Marie that has played for the Lake Superior State University Lakers. Now, growing up in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, at a very early age, obviously playing hockey, was it something that you thought of early on as far as maybe in squirts and peewees saying, you know what, I would love to come play for the Lakers? I'm sure you went to a lot of the games growing up. Was it something that you had planned out early on, or did it just end up happening?
Yeah, so I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really think about it. I just remember going to the games and watching all the time when I was playing for the local team here, and I just remember seeing those guys, and I always thought it was so cool, and someday it'd be cool to play for them and stuff, and then it didn't really kind of phased me until I started talking to Lake State. That I was like, man, I actually could do it. So yeah. It was pretty cool.
And talking about your path to Lake State, Ashton, you played your midget hockey here for the Soo Indians, and then you left during your high school years. Just tell us some of the places that you played for and just a little bit of the experience playing in quite a few different leagues.
Yeah, so I played here, like you said, my junior year and a little bit of my sophomore year for the Indians, and then I made the jump to juniors, and I went to North American Hockey League, went out to Minnesota Wilderness in Cloquet, Minnesota. And that was a great experience, getting my first year of juniors on my belt. It was definitely a learning experience, older guys, high intensity, stuff like that. So it was a good time. And then, my second year, so I was a year out of high school, I went to British Columbia and played in Surrey, BC. And I played in the British Columbia Hockey League, and that was a good experience. I got a lot more confidence out there, and it was a good time there. And then I got drafted that summer to Lincoln Stars in the USHL, and then I decided I was going to try it out, and I ended up working out, and I had a great time there.
Looking at the level of play in those leagues, Ashton, you talk about the North American Hockey League, the British Columbia League, and the USHL. Was each one very different? Obviously, USHL, one of the top junior leagues in the United States. I mean, is there a big jump, like, say, from the NA to the USHL? Is it a small jump, or was it just kind of a natural progression for you?
I didn't really look at it that way when I was there because, they're all good leagues.
Right.
Like, respectable players come out of each league, like, you know what I'm saying? So it was just more like, like the North American League, it was a great, league, and I liked to play in there. And then, it just kind of, naturally progressed when I got each different league, and then I didn't really feel that jump much, so it wasn't that big of a difference to me.
When you look at your hockey memories so far, do you have one or two that stand out? Obviously, you're still making them, and hopefully we'll make a lot of them here at Lake State, but has there been a couple, goals, memorable games, or things that stand out in your mind that you'd like to share with us?
I haven't really experienced that much. I don't really think about it, not to dwell on stuff like that, but last year was pretty cool in the playoffs when we went into Sioux Falls, and we went down the first game, and we were kind of nervous. It was only best out of 3 series. We won the second one, and then the third one, it was back and forth all game, and we went to overtime, and then my line mate, Paul, scored, and then I just remember feeling like that. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Everybody was pretty pumped to be on the ice, so it was pretty cool to be a part of that. That was one big moment.
What sort of crowds would you play in front of, especially in the USHL? I'm familiar with the North American Hockey League. Are we talking thousands, 10,000s? Did you have any rowdy environments along the way?
Yeah, there's tons of places. In the BC, there were some big heavy hitters, Penticton was a big one. They had a lot of fans, a couple thousand, probably 3,000 to 4,000. Chilliwack, same thing. And then last year, in the USHL, our home crowd, I think, held 4,000 to 5,000, and we sold out a good amount. The weekday games wasn't as big, but then there was some place like Sioux Falls to see 10,000, so it was pretty cool. And then, I don't know, there's a lot of people, yeah.
Ashton Calder joining us on the game, freshman forward from the Lake Superior State University Hockey Lakers. Ashton, you guys hit the road here later this week, heading to Alabama Huntsville for a pair of games against the Chargers, I believe their nickname. I had to think about that for a moment. And then coming back to take on Michigan, obviously that's a big couple games here. But obviously you want to do well in the conference games. You've already had one road trip to Merrimack. As far as a bonding experience with the team, because you being a freshman, how important are those kind of long bus trips, long road trips early on in the season for team cohesion? Is that a good thing to have those trips maybe early on?
Yeah, it's definitely a good thing. When you go on the road, you're with the team the whole time. We do spend a lot of time during the week with practice, but when you're on the road, you're with each other in the hotel room. You go everywhere together. You do a lot of things together. So long trips especially, it's a grind, and especially when you get the 2 wins, it's a good feeling. It gets the guys rolling. So I thought it was great that we went out and had a long, good trip right away. And even better, we got 4 points out of it. And
you don't want to look ahead too much, but obviously having Michigan come to the Taffy Able Arena next weekend, while you're focused on these games, you still got to be thinking about, there's going to be some big crowds. You're going to be playing a Big Ten team. Growing up here, anytime Lake Superior State played Michigan or Michigan State, it was always something.
Yeah.
Pretty excited for next weekend?
Yeah, I'm definitely excited. It's definitely been circled on the calendar for a while for us. We're ready to come out and just be heavy hitters and get at it.
Playing for head coach Damon Witten, Ashton, I believe he's somebody who recruited you, if I'm not mistaken, or were you already selected before Coach Witten was on board?
Yeah, I was selected by Witten and then Mitro when he was here.
Okay, how is it playing for him? How has your experience been so far playing for this coaching staff?
So far I like it. it's very good. I mean, nothing really else to say about it. We're doing well, and I like the systems they put in and stuff like that. So, I mean, they're really, communication's good. They talk to you through a lot of things, and so far it's been great.
Final question for you, Ashton, as far as goals. This being your freshman year, obviously you want to do well and succeed, but do you have any personal goals for yourself, this year's team, or just in general?
For goals, I mean, obviously, you just want to be an impact player on your team no matter what, what it is they want you to do, just do it. And for team goals, we just want to win. That's basically all we're about. We're trying to get that, get that win column up and make it to the WCHA playoff finals.
Does this team have enough, in your opinion, to get to the Final Four and possibly beyond in the WCHA?
Yes, I really do believe so. I mean, we got a good leadership group, I believe, and I feel like we have a lot of solid pieces that have been here for a couple of years and got the experience now, and I think it's going to be good.
Ashton Calder joining us on the game. You can catch the Lakers in action this weekend on the road as they will be at Alabama Huntsville, and then back here in Sault Ste. Marie the following weekend against Michigan. Definitely going to be a fun time. And Ashton, best of luck this season. Nice to meet you, and let's hang some more banners in the Taft Eagle Arena in the next 4 years. What do you say?
Yeah, we'll work on it. I'll try that one.
Ashton, thanks for joining us.
Yep, thank you.
And we'll be back with Butch Davis from Butch On Sports coming up next on the game here on Eagle 95.1.
Get wicked at Wicked Sister. You'll find the best tasting food for you and your family. Start off with some wicked appetizers like the crab dip, served with soft pretzel bites and warm non-bread strips, and delicious boneless chicken wings that are antibiotic and hormone-free with 5 choices of sauces. Try the barbecue pulled pork sandwich or the #1 selling drunken cow burger and the chicken caprese flatbread. Check out the Wicked Sister gluten-free menu and catering. The Wicked Sister, downtown Ashman Street, 7 days a week.
The Game Sports Show would like to thank a list of additional sponsors. North Shore Sports and Auto, new location located on 647 McDonald Avenue, Sault Ste. Marie. A family-owned and operated business with doing business in Sault Ste. Marie for over 10 years. Loads of products available for your enjoyment for all seasons. North Shore Sports and Auto, we understand the importance of quality service and products, and we work hard to ensure that all customers have a positive experience before and after each and every sale. North Shore Sports and Auto, meeting all of your new and pre-owned equipment needs. Special thanks to Salon. The Salon, located on 589 2nd Line East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Mike Cuglietta. Book your appointment today at 705-941-9191 or via online at https://thesalonsoo.as.me-. The Salon, making the Soo beautiful, one haircut at a time. As well as a shout out to the Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop. The Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop, located inside the Community First Credit Union Soo Pee Wee Arena on 285 Northern Avenue East, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Owned and operated by Jeremy Paquin and ran by Larry Monroe. Soo Pee Wee Pro Shop for over 40 years meet all of your skate sharpening, skate repair, and hockey needs. Also to Discover the Canvas. Discover the Canvas, located on 317 Wellington Street West, Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. A beautiful new renovated building owned and operated by expert artist and Sioux native Katrina Thibodeau. Katrina taking her talents of the ink in Sault Ste. Marie and truly creating the best and most realistic art locally. Call Katrina today at 705-450-8099 or email her at discoverthecanvas@gmail.com to book your tattoo or consultation today.
Reach out, touch faith.
Welcome back to the game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street on this beautiful Monday night in Sault Ste. Marie. Want to thank our guests so far, Zeke Kaunisto, the general manager of the Sioux Eagles, and Ashton Calder, forward for the Lake Superior State University hockey team. Don't forget the game, a full 2-hour show. We do the first hour on the radio from 6 to 7 o'clock, and you can hear the entire 2 hours, including our roundtable discussion with Katie Woolen, E.J. Russell, Dave McKegg, and my next guest right now. His name is Butch Davis, host of the radio show Butch On Sports, who joins us each and every week to get our listeners up to date and a first-hand account of what's going on in the Metro Detroit sports world. Butch, hope it was as nice a weather as it was here down there. How you doing tonight, my friend?
It's okay. Yeah, pretty nice weather today here, although everything's I understand it's going downhill from there. So buckle up and, get your toasties on here.
Absolutely. Butch, we're going to start with high school football. I mentioned in the first segment of the show all the teams here in this area that have qualified for the Michigan High School Athletic Association postseason tournament. 8 divisions in 11-player football, 2 divisions in 8-player football. Butch, the pairings are out. I know there's a lot of teams around the area that you cover, but just give us a little snapshot of maybe some of the teams and interesting notes. I know you're going to have more on your shows this week about high school football, but just give us a little snapshot from the Metro Detroit area about the upcoming playoffs starting on Friday.
Well, first and foremost, you got to reward the Michigan High School Athletic Association for making it a better draw here. They're rewarding the tougher teams who play the tougher schedule with the most points. If you kind of notice the lineup there, in years past they were kind of lenient on giving points up with schools with more or less I wouldn't say bad schedules there, but basically not competitive schedules here. And schools, for instance, I'm looking at right now from the District 3, reading there and looking at River Rouge High School, for instance, always getting the home game. This year they won't get a home game with their 7-1 record because the toughest game they played this year was Cass Tech, and they lost that one, got blowed out there. So they'll be playing Martin Luther King at Martin Luther King. That's probably a 4 o'clock start in the city there. E-Course is another team that basically plays in a more or less a schedule that's really not conducive, not very competitive there. They're also hitting the road there. Teams that I see a lot of teams that have been rewarded with the 5-4 record, but play competitive schedules and whatnot. They're getting into the playoffs to kind of round that particular motion out there. Teams like Wyandotte and also Gibraltar Carlson, which is a Firehouse team, getting a home game there. So it's many teams in the downriver in the Metro Detroit area that can be looked at as maybe being a thorn in someone's side, I should say here. But again, it's a lot more competitive there with those particular teams I just mentioned. They're playing road games this year instead of the home games.
Butch, let's move on to college football, a game that still people are talking about, at least the coaches are talking about, between Michigan and Michigan State, and it was the Michigan Wolverines topping the Michigan State Spartans on Saturday by the score of 21-7, as Michigan now 7-1 overall, 5-0 in the Big Ten. And they got a little bit of help from Purdue, who knocked off Ohio State in a big way. Coaches still talking. There's still a lot of stuff about that game. We're going to get more about that in an hour or two. But no surprise to me, Butch. I thought Michigan was the better team, and they showed it on Saturday.
Well, yeah, they finally showed up and played a good game at a good venue there. And although the game started maybe an hour and a half later there, it was a very competitive game to me there. The annex happened pre-game, and also some of the comments post-game got a little bit more notoriety than the game itself. But again, Michigan is putting itself in a very good position to be talked about in playoff recognition here, I do say there. Purdue, Purdue is not as bad as people think they are.
Not at all.
But again, when, you see in games of importance there, or games they really care about, they come out there with a host of fire. I say the same thing about Iowa State last week there when they beat that particular game there. It's like I said, it's going to get wacky the next 2 or 3 weeks here as the little standings for who's going to the playoffs, who's this and who's that. It's going to come into be there, and a lot of teams right now are leveling off and getting knocked off. So it's going to be very interesting to see that final seeding there, which, again, I don't really approve of there. There got to be more teams in there. And, by the way, University of Central Florida, who, again, have won their 20th game in a row, not getting any recognition at all, had a big piece in the newspaper about ESPN ignoring them there.
Yeah.
And really and truly, It was well deserved, okay, because ESPN is supposed to be a major conglomerate there. They finally went to Pullman, Washington, there to do one of their shows, and I can't see them ignoring a team like University of Central Florida the way they have, and hopefully that changes with that particular network there. Indeed, that is very embarrassing.
Really is, Butch, and you kind of stole my thunder there because I was about to say the same thing. I mean, all Central Florida does is keep winning. Every team that gets put in front of them, they beat, including Auburn last year in the playoffs. And I'll tell you, if they go another undefeated season, which I think they will, and if they get locked out of the playoffs, which I think they will, I mean, at some point you would think that the NCAA's got to think about expanding the playoffs. Butch, let's continue with the football talk. Talking about the Detroit Lions, and I got a few things to say about this game, but I want to hear your thoughts as Karan Johnson rushed for 158 yards. Mm-hmm. That's correct. A Detroit Lions running back rushed for 158 yards. They had over 200 yards of rushing offense. Matt Stafford had 4 incompletions. The Lions did not turn over the ball. They led from start to finish against a division leader on the road and defeat Miami by the score of 32-21 to improve their record to 3-3. The Lions will be at home to Seattle this weekend. Butch, I got to say, I know it's just 1 week, but I got the feeling watching that game that the Lions just weren't going to lose that game. And I don't get that feeling very much with the Lions team. Your thoughts on the Lions' road victory on Sunday?
Well, again, I go back and said before I said in the beginning of the season, before all this rampage came on over here, if the Lions run the ball and the defensive backs play a lot more aggressive, which they have, play a lot more man-to-man, the Lions will win a whole heck of a lot more games and see a lot more trauma, a lot less trauma, I should say, on the field. And that's what they're doing. They're running the ball. They give Matthew Stafford a chance to throw when he needs to throw. Again, when you're a predictable team like the Lions have been in years past, it's very easy to defense against that, offensively and defensively. But this year, the mix of the run going in there and using it often, okay, and with some pretty good backs, LeGarrette Blount did a fantastic job of kind of going up the middle there and mixing it up, and you get your backs going out there in motion. It's a more enjoyable flex of football that you're watching right now there. And they're a lot more competitive against teams that maybe most people think they will lose against there. I picked the Lions in this week there. I was very hesitant, but again, if they do the things that need to be done, and again, run the ball, and also on defensive, do not play a soft type of defense, especially with the defensive backs and the safety, and be a lot more aggressive, okay, which they are doing. You can see them winning a lot more games this year.
Yeah, and the one thing I wanted to say, Butch, is, and you've been saying it for a long time on this show, especially this year, when you get a running game, it opens up so many things. When you have Matt Stafford only throwing 4 incompletions, and when you have a fact that you don't necessarily need Matt Stafford to do a whole lot because you have other pieces around him. You have running backs. You have a tight end that even caught a couple touchdowns. You have that wide receiving core. The defense seems to be getting better. I know Lions fans have been beat down for so long, Butch, and you're just hoping, you're just waiting. I always feel a little nervous even thinking, this has a potential to be a division-winning team in that NFC North. I mean, Minnesota obviously is starting to play better. Green Bay, hard to say. Chicago, they've slumped lately, but do the Lions have what it takes to win the NFC North, Butch, in your opinion, right now?
Sure. When you're going out there being competitive, using all facets of the game to get over there, and they're doing that very well there. Again, there's always room for improvement, per se. There's always room for injured players to come back and add into that particular mix, which the Lions have had some difficulty with. T.J. Lang, especially there, staying in and out of the lineup there. Again, competency is based on you mixing it up. You're not doing the same thing over and over and over again. It could be a lot more fun watching a football game, and I'm enjoying the Lions a lot more when they're mixing it up. They're running the ball. They got some players out there who have some fire in their guts there to play the game the way the game should be played. No longer, I have seen in maybe the last 3 or 4 weeks that they are going to be, when they get a lead, they're going to be under trauma situation there or giving up a lead there. They've been very demanding on defense when it comes down to holding a lead and keeping the team in there. Well, Matthew Stafford is not stressed out to be the savior of the masses there. So it's a pretty good Lions team. I can say if they do what they should be doing there, there's no reason why they can't win 10 or 11 games this season there. I know the schedule is just getting fresh. No more bye weeks. They got to go out there and grind it every single week. But again, if they play like they're playing, they're going to be a lot more competitive to teams and a lot more scarier, than teams may think they should be. They are a very good team when they do the things right and mix it up.
Butch Davis joining us on the game. Butch, we got a couple other teams to cover before we end the first hour. Let's talk about the Detroit Red Wings, a team that took a while to get a victory, but they finally did after 8 games and overtime on Saturday, defeating the Florida Panthers by the score of 4-3. The Red Wings won 5-2 on the season. They got a lot of games at home, including tonight. In a few minutes, they'll be taking on the Carolina Panthers. Friday at home against Winnipeg, and Sunday home against the Dallas Stars. Butch, not the start the Wings wanted. What's your thoughts on the Wings' struggles out of the gate?
Well, the struggles out of the gate was to be expected. A young team, you're playing young kids out there. The first game, like I said, of the season, I was down there, and they were really a game to behold. Although they lost the game there, they were very competitive throughout there. Now, the next couple of games, they had not been there. They kind of got their clock cleaned out there. But as the last 2 games, I've noticed they have been very competitive with the young kids out there playing. And they're getting a little bit more used to one another there. And that communication, if it gets better and better and better, I should see a lot better stride from Detroit Red Wings. They're going to take some growing pains right now. And again, all the players that they should have skating right now are not skating there. And I can see a revolving door with some of those players up in Grand Rapids making their way down here in Detroit and making the team, because there going to be some household changes there. They started a lot of rookies this year, and I'm quite sure they're going to have a lot more rookies who right now doing very good in Grand Rapids come down here to Detroit to see if they can make ample contributions and make the team for a longer period of time rather than a short period of time. So again, the competition is there, and also the goaltending is a lot better. And guarding the goaltender, if you notice, the blocks that the players are making there has a big difference in protecting the goaltenders there. In the last 3 games, Detroit has blocked more doggone pucks than they have in a very long time there. And then that has also protected the goaltenders in making the game more conclusive and more competitive there.
So let's finish off this segment talking about the 2-0 Detroit Pistons, as the Pistons have gotten out of the gates very strongly, winning against Brooklyn in their home opener, and then winning at Chicago on Saturday night by the score of 118-116. Blake Griffin, 33 points, 12 rebounds. Ish Smith, 15 points, all in the second half. And the Pistons will be at home. Little Caesars Arena going to be busy this week as they are home to Philly on Tuesday, Cleveland on Thursday, and Boston on Saturday. Butch, I had a chance to listen to your podcast there last week talking about the home opener and some of the things that you saw that you liked on the court. What are your thoughts on the Pistons' 2-0 start this season?
Well, I like their savvy, because they're not what you could. This is a team right now. They're really not satisfied with the 2 wins they have right now. They know they can do a lot better than what they're doing right now. Blake Griffin has looked fantastic. Andre Drummond has looked the part. He's doing his job in rebounding and also scoring some points there. The guards are going to have to get it going here, okay? If their perimeter game is not there, it's going to make it very tough on Blake Griffin and also Andre Drummond or any forward to do their job there right now there. So I'm quite sure that Dwayne Casey is not happy with the guard play right now, although Ish Smith has looked good at times coming off the bench. We'll see how frequently. They're going to play a good team in Philly, okay, tomorrow night. That's going to be a test of where they're at right now, and again, we'll see how far this goes there, because getting off 2-0 is great there, but maintaining a good effort every single night for the Pistons has been a problem the years past.
But real quick, I wanted to mention a couple local sports notes that I didn't have a chance to get to because of our interviews. Laker women's tennis lost at Michigan Tech on Saturday 7-0. They'll be taking part in the GLIAC tournament this weekend. The Laker volleyball team lost at Northern Michigan on Saturday by 3-2 count. The Lakers will be at home this weekend, taking on Northwood on Friday and Ferris State on Saturday. And the Laker men's and women's basketball teams have their first game at the Bud Cooper Gymnasium on Saturday against Olivet, starting with the men at 5. Butch Davis, joining us on the game, and you can catch more of Butch on the podcast page of this show, thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com, or go directly to his podcast page, simply Butch2, that's TOO.podomatic.com, or you can find him on Facebook. Just look up Butch On Sports. Butch, we covered a lot, but we have even more to cover in hour 2, as we'll be having the roundtable with yourself, E.J. Russell, and coming up soon, Dave McKegg. So stick around for a couple minutes, Butch. Appreciate you have you on the first hour, and we'll talk to you here in a few minutes, sir.
Okie dokie.
And want to thank each and every one of you for listening on Eagle 95.1 and online at Radio Eagle Soo, that's SOO.com. And want to thank our guests, Zeke Kaunisto, General Manager of the Soo Indians, as the Indians at home this weekend, Saturday night and Sunday morning, and Ashton Calder, forward for the Lake Superior State University hockey team, as they will be at Alabama Huntsville this Friday and Saturday. Want to thank our broadcast engineer, Dallas Miller, back in the Eagle 95.1 studios. And again, you can hear the full 2-hour show of this, The Game, on thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. For those that are listening locally or online, we're going to get back to Classic Hits at Random. And for those online, stay tuned for hour 2 of the Roundtable here on Eagle 95.1.
Time to play the game. Time to play the game. It's all about the game and how you play it. All about control, and if you can take it, all about your day. And if you can pay it, it's all about pay. And who's gonna make it?
Welcome back to The Game on Eagle 95.1 and online at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. Hour 2 of our weekly show. Scott Nason broadcasting from the Wicked Sister on Ashman Street. Lots going on at the Wicked Sister as always. Downtown Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. A very busy night at the Wicked Sister for a Monday, including a new menu coming to the Wicked Sister on November 5th. They also have happy hour Monday through Friday, 2 to 5 p.m., $2 domestic bottles of beer, and $1 off draft pints and house wines. And the Wicked Sister are the home, or is the home, of post-game for the Lake Superior State University hockey team. We're continuing to be joined by Butch Davis from Butch On Sports for the Roundtable. We'll be joined soon by Dave McKegg from Soo, Ontario. We're joined right now by E.J. Russell from the Banana Belt of the Upper Peninsula, known as Escanaba. E.J., how you doing on this Monday night, my friend?
Well, out of all of the sports weekends of the year, I think mine was the least successful sports weekend. But I got a good story to tell everybody about. Scott, you know what I did this weekend, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But ready to be here, and let's do this, boys.
Let's get into that right now, EJ. We'll give you first crack at the topic on the roundtable. This is the part of the show where we talk about, debate, and give our opinion and information on some of the items going on in the world of sports. So EJ Russell will give you the first topic. Butch will give you first crack at EJ's topic. EJ, what would you like to bring up on tonight's roundtable?
Well, normally I think that my skill set is best suited for football. However, I had an opportunity this weekend to travel about 3 hours and change south and west of here, and I got a chance to see the NLCS Game 7 live and in person, and I got the chance to watch the Dodgers secure their ticket to the World Series. So let's talk baseball, boys. Who's your favorite going into the World Series? What'd you think of the NLCS and the ALCS? And what's your story to watch going forward?
Butch, World Series tomorrow, Boston, the LA Dodgers. Your thoughts on EJ's topic?
Sorry the Brewers lost, but you know what the heck here. Boston and LA. I know the networks are very happy with that.
They are.
They are, boy, they're jumping off the Ambassador Bridge as we speak here, you know? Oh, boy, bring them back alive here. That's going to be a pretty good series, I do believe. Boston, who naturally is going to have the billing of this whole particular situation versus the Dodgers, who are, I would say, the blue-collar type of team that many people are desired to like there. It's going to be a good game strategy-wise between the managers, I do say there. Cora against Dave Roberts. And that's going to be very interesting indeed, how they kind of land out their pitching structure and deal with their bullpens. But again, the hitting, at least to me, the consistent hitting, although sometimes not shown, unless they really need it, will be Boston there. The Dodgers, again, they're sneaky Pete and probably doing a lot of hitting there. So they are someone to look forward to there. But right now, I don't have no pick in it. I'm just going to weigh it in and watch each team beat each other's brains out here. And hopefully for the best, it'd be a great series there. Hopefully it goes 7 games. And we'll see at least baseball up until Halloween.
I'll keep mine short because I really want to hear what EJ has to say about his experience in Game 7. I got wind of that when I was traveling to Puller Stadium before my game. I got a FaceTime, a call, and EJ said, I'm going to Game 7. That's fantastic. So looking forward to hearing what he has to say. It was a great NLCS between the Dodgers and Milwaukee. I was pulling for Milwaukee, being kind of a local team, if you will, being a former AL Central team with the Detroit Tigers there. Or AL East, I should say, back then. And I agree with what Butch said. The networks are happy that it's big markets in L.A., big markets in Boston. And as far as who I think is going to win the series, I just say this. David Price won a game in the postseason. I repeat, David Price won a game in the postseason. If you can't read the tea leaves from that one, I think Boston with their powerhouse team, and it seems like about 15 former Tigers. I know it's not 15, but it seems like it. David Price winning a game in the playoffs. I think Boston might be the team to beat, but who knows? And I like what Butch says. Hey, let's keep us playing baseball until Halloween because it's going to be a good series. Dodgers looking for their first World Series in 30 years. 1988, the Kirk Gibson, the Game 1 home run off of Dennis Eckersley, and the Red Sox looking for, their 4th World Series in the past 15 years or something like that, which seems hard to believe. It took them, 90 years to win one. So I like Boston in that one, but I want to hear EJ's experience in Milwaukee and his thoughts on his own topic.
Well, guys, I will tell you that it was quite a treat to get a chance to go down to Milwaukee. Spent a few bucks to get in. I don't have some of the benefits that some other bigger sports teams like Mr. Butch Davis might have. I didn't have any strings to pull, but
wow.
Sat up in the nosebleeds, got some tickets. We went down there, and I'll tell you this, I was extremely underwhelmed with the Brewers fans. And I don't know if it was the fact that when we got there it was 2-1. We did get there a little late because we left after the Michigan State game. But really, when Puig hit that home run, you really felt the energy just get sucked out of that stadium. And it wasn't the crowd that I was hoping for, because when that crowd is up and rowdy, they really can't influence that game. That ballpark is very well built for those fans to make some noise, and they weren't there emotionally and as fans as I thought they'd be. I thought they'd be a little louder. Dodgers did a great job of getting to their 2nd consecutive World Series, and Boston Red Sox returning for their first time since 2013. The story to me to watch here is Dave Roberts coaching against his old team, the Boston Red Sox, in the World Series. A lot of people remember Dave Roberts for his stealing of bases in the 2004 American League Championship Series against the Yankees when the Red Sox came down from 3-0. And I think that's a great story there. Dave Roberts against the Red Sox, coaching and managing against a team that he has a ring with. So I think that's a great story to watch. I think that if it plays out the way that it should, the Boston Red Sox should win. They have been absolutely fantastic with their bats this year, getting contributions from guys up and down that lineup. And they still got a guy named Mookie Betts there, who is one of the best players in baseball right now. If the Dodgers, though, can get production from that back half of the lineup and from Manny Machado specifically, without any kind of tripping incidents or anything like that happening, which I was very against what I saw that day. But if the Dodgers can get hot right now, they have a really good shot at winning this series, because people forget Yasiel Puig, a name that everybody knows in baseball right now, is hitting in the back half of that lineup, hit 6 in Game 7. And it had a big home run to really put that game away on behalf of the Los Angeles Dodgers. So curious to see how it goes. I think the Red Sox will take it in 6. I think the Dodgers will catch fire for 2 games. But I think that the lineup that Alex Cora has put together there with the Boston Red Sox, I think they are just too strong. And I think that they really carry the advantage as far as pitching goes.
Continue the roundtable, gentlemen. Butch, will go to you as far as what topic you want to bring up to tonight's roundtable.
Okay, let's talk about the Rondo fight with Chris Paul there. I think that was very interesting there, spitting on a player there. He should be suspended for life, but that's just me here. Well, you get your impressions on that particular brouhaha, if you guys heard about it or whatever here.
I was happy to be watching that, Butch, the fight there, which kind of took away from the big LeBron James home opener on Saturday night. Apparently there's a report that Rajon Rondo's girlfriend confronted Chris Paul's wife in the stands after the players fought. It was a little bit of what Butch likes to call rock'em sock'em robots, some spitting involved and inappropriate comments to players' wives. I mean, it sounds like the Desperate Housewives of Los Angeles or Houston, but some old school tactics, if you want. I wouldn't say spitting on somebody's an old school tactics, but we don't see this as much in the NBA as we did many years ago. I hark back to the bad boy era of the 1980s, where it seemed like every other night there was Rick Mahorn or Bill Laimbeer or who knows, Isaiah Thomas getting in a scrap there. I didn't have a chance to see as far as the suspensions out of that. I think there were some 3 or 4 game suspensions going on during that whole ordeal, but it took all the glamour away from LeBron James, and I guess on that fact, I kind of found it humorous. So fights will be happening here and there, and it's one of those things where rock'em sock'em robots, Butch, you like to call it. EJ, I know you were very busy on Saturday. Did you have a chance to see the fight in Los Angeles?
I did. I absolutely got an opportunity to see that as I was traveling. I had my phone on and my eyes on the games, and I was keeping track of things. And I thought what Rajon Rondo did was terrible. And to spit on another player, specifically one, I'll say, of the magnitude and celebrity of Chris Paul, it was just uncalled for. I mean, Chris Paul has done so many things, charitable donations and things like that. I couldn't get the word out. I'm looking for philanthropy there, and I couldn't say it, but Chris Paul has done so many great things for the public in every city that he spent time in. Did great things in New Orleans, great things in LA, and now he's in Houston. And he's regarded as one of the best point guards, I would say, in the history of the NBA. And for Rajon Rondo, a guy that has been a journeyman, yes, he does have a championship ring, but he's a guy that people have struggled to get along with. So to see him involved in something like this isn't the craziest thing to me, but the fact that he did what he did and spat on Chris Paul, I thought was extremely uncalled for. I don't care what was said. Chris Paul means so much to the NBA, And to see immediately after that happen, I mean, the best player in the world and the most recognizable athlete in the world outside of maybe Cristiano Ronaldo, LeBron James, immediately came to Chris Paul's aid and pulled him away. Yeah, and I think that really talks to the level of respect that people have for Chris Paul. And I mean, just to wrap it up as a whole, I thought what Rajon Rondo did was terrible.
Butch, I know you got a lot to say about your own topic, so let's hear from you, sir.
Not much, but we do. What we omitted to say is the person who instigated the whole thing, Brandon Ingram, got 4 games out of the whole deal here. Chris Paul and Rondo seem to be the most action in the particular there, and you can't say too much about it. You know, I did see some punches thrown. I would like to, the spitting issue, that needs to be addressed a lot further here. There's no reason to have to spit. And I know when you talk sometimes, little moisture might come out your mouth, but to hawk up and spit in somebody's face is just ridiculous there. That should have been carried over a lot deeper than what it was. It did put a damper on LeBron James, quote unquote, Saturday night revival there that ESPN personally put their nose in and made sure they broadcasted it on a Saturday night at that. We don't see no basketball on Saturday night. Let's go to maybe something like the NBA Network, but ESPN got their foot in the door and was able to secure that game. And it was not what you thought it would be. You know, when maybe LeBron James would ride off on the white horse with a win and the crowd go home happy and, you know, hit the streets and cheer a lot. It had a damper type of ending there. So a failure with the NBA as far as kind of dealing with the game. But again, the way they dealt with that fight issue there, it's got to be a little bit more better suitability for the players of the NBA. Then it shouldn't be like that there. It's not the way it went off to be there. It stunk.
Let's continue the roundtable on the game here on the Wicked Sister on Eagle 95.1. We're still waiting for Dave McKegg, who apparently might be getting the rubber glove treatment at the U.S. border with marijuana now legal in Canada. I'm not saying anything, but maybe they're being a little more picky on those that are coming over from Canada. At least we don't have a big caravan coming over on this side of the border. Moving on to sports, and, one of my favorite subjects to talk about, guys, the NFL. Butch and I talked about the Detroit Lions victory over Miami in Hour 1, and I just want your thoughts overall on Week 7 of the NFL. I have lots to say. The Kansas City Chiefs and LA Rams keep on rolling, and, the Cleveland Browns keep getting to overtime, but they lost. E.J. Russell, we'll go to you first. Week 7 of the NFL, your thoughts, sir?
I am so tired of overtime. The only thing I like getting overtime in is an hourly salary.
Nice.
I mean, that's the only thing you want to work overtime in. Everything else is just terrible. And you know what? Good on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to make that kick. Catanzaro at the end there, making a 59-yarder after missing a kick earlier in the game. Good for him. Way to show faith in your kick at Tampa Bay. But the Cleveland Browns got to find a way to put that game away. And that's just some of the growing pains that they're going through. They're learning how to win. So they'll figure it out, and I think the ship will get right. I think that the Browns did a good job of coming out after halftime and playing with fire. But the Detroit Lions look like they might have found the recipe right now. And they look solid. Good running game from them the other day, which is something that when the Lions run the football, they win football games. And I'm not saying when they run it. I mean when they run it successfully. And when they do, it makes Matt Stafford's job so much easier. And he did a great job not throwing any interceptions in the Lions' victory. Kansas City Chiefs, though, they are for real. Patrick Mahomes is, I mean, I know we keep talking about him and his name keeps coming up, but enough can't be said about this young man. And so many weapons there. But I think the team right now that I'm really keeping my eye on is the New Orleans Saints and really rallying behind these incredible milestones for Drew Brees. It feels like they're playing this year for Drew as he's chasing down some records here. But what a fun time in the NFL. Teams, that you may not have had where they're at. I'll use like Jacksonville. I thought they would be almost undefeated at this point. There's a team that really has come out flat, I'd say, in the last 3 games. Teams like Washington Redskins finding success and finding ways to win football games. However, you have to find ways to win football games. The big news of the day, Amari Cooper getting traded to the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that good for Dallas to find a wide receiver. However, people are overlooking the fact that John Gruden has something like 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years, which if he's trying to rebuild that program, which after dealing Khalil Mack can be the only excuse that you have right now for what you're doing. I hope and wish that John Gruden has a plan here. But the story of the day, Amari Cooper going to Dallas, disappointing the Browns, and Lions look good.
Butch, let's go to you. Dave McKeag has joined us. We'll get to him here in a moment. Your thoughts on Week 7 in the NFL?
Yeah, I heard they're running out of marijuana in Canada, too, here. News of the day here. Well, Week 7 was pretty good. We watched some pretty doggone close and wicked games here. Chicago Bears was in one where they almost won the game. It was for that Hail Mary pass. You got to give it to the quarterback there and getting that ball down there and the receiver catching it. But again, he didn't have some friends to help push him in the end zone, and that was the end of that there. Kansas City looked just good. I mean, they looked great there. I like that. And so did the Rams there. They look very convincing here. The Lions look like a team that now can be competitive if they keep in mind what we talked about the first hour of the show. Their backs, defensive and defensive backs at bay and do the job they got to do in order to play an honest game and not be so predictable. The Oakland situation is, him and Reggie McKenzie are building up a museum full of goodies here. And I'm quite sure that won't be the only trade that's going to pre-exist. They got to next Tuesday at 4 o'clock for all the teams to get what they need in order to go through that hump. Peterson's asking for a trade from the Cardinals there, and I'm quite sure they're going to honor that and get it there if they can get a first-rounder for Peterson. Peterson's one of the better cornerbacks in the game. He's going to be sought after greatly here. But again, you look at the NFL right now, so far so good. And after this bye week, Green Bay gets back on the horse there. We're going to see how Aaron Rodgers is going to perform after a week's worth of doing absolutely nothing but treatment there. So Green Bay should be a lot better. Minnesota is fantastic right now, as many people thought they would be. Thielen has been a rock for the Vikings as far as catching passes is concerned. It's very sticky to look at there. You see teams like Dallas, you hope they're going to get better. Then you look at the right across the way there, the Houston Texans winning 4 in a row. It's going to get kind of wicked here, and I'm very interested in seeing how this is going to play out the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Let's get to our next guest, Dave McKeag, who has joined us from Soo, Ontario, host of the Game Sports Show from Northern Superior Brewing Company, along with Sports Center Bar and Grill and Silver Creek Golf Course. Kegger, thanks for joining us here at the Wicked Sister.
Scotty, sorry for being a little bit late, pal. Got here as quick as I could. Then the traffic is very similar to as in Canada as it is over here. It seems people go really slow in slow speed zones, it seems like. But I'm happy I made it here as quick as I could.
Well, the subject, Dave, we'll get to your subject coming up next. The subject is Week 7 of the NFL. Your turn as far as some of the things. Hey, your Steelers didn't play. They jumped 2 spots. They move into first place. How about that? You got to love the bye week there. But your thoughts as far as Week 7 in the NFL going into almost the midway point of the season, if you can believe that.
Well, first, my fantasy team that was on a pretty good winning streak tried to climb back up the rankings. Lost this week because I had a lot of Steelers, so tried to pick up a bunch of guys and make moves, but ended up losing still, so I'm back down to reality, it seems like. So besides fantasy football, I was pretty impressed with Andrew Luck, how he's doing with the Colts. And I know they played I wanted to say the Sabres there for a second, but no, the Bills.
I think the Sabres might have been better yesterday.
Andrew Luck is looking like that arm's looking pretty good. And I'm actually kind of curious that the Colts keep playing him the way that he is. I think there'd be time maybe to give him rest like the Raptors did with Kawhi Leonard. I believe in that when you've had injuries, especially to the length that Leonard or should I say Andrew Luck has had. So that's my individual that really sticks out to me last week was how Andrew kind of, he only threw 13 for 23 with his passes, but he still totaled
four touchdowns,
right? He's really throwing the ball around the field pretty well. So I'm pretty impressed with that. And, I think the National Football League, each week any team can win, right? And that is the most impressive thing about the National Football League, I think more so this year than in previous years. Because when you think of the other previous years you've had, you had the no doubts who were moving on, it seemed like the Steelers, you had the Patriots, but now this year, a lot of expectations were on the Jacksonville Jaguars. They haven't been able to live up to the same expectation of having a loss to Houston yesterday, 20-7. Houston's defense doing very well again yesterday.
Bortles benched.
Yeah, Bortles benched, exactly. The Buccaneers barely getting by the Browns. The Browns having so many close games this year. Okay, so many close games. They could have started the year 4-0 when you really think about it. Back in week 4, obviously. We're going into week 8 coming up this week. But Tennessee, too, there's a team that I thought would be doing much better. And there's a team that had a tough loss against the Chargers yesterday. And LaShawn McCoy. If the Buffalo Bills aren't going to trade LaShawn McCoy, I can't believe that. The guy took a head injury yesterday, left the game early against Indianapolis. There's a guy that should be utilized elsewhere, and there's a trade today in the NFL with Amari Cooper going to the Cowboys.
Mention that, yep.
Yeah, so that is, a good move by the Cowboys. Prescott has a weapon to get the ball to. He did have somebody named Des Bryant before, but obviously that hasn't been a thing because he's only been able to hand the ball off to Ezekiel Elliott. So, Cam Newton last night as well. What do you think of him playing against the Eagles with that win against the Eagles there? He had a slow first half. He came around back. So last week was a very exciting game, or games that play in the National Football League. But I really stick with Andrew Luck. I know he didn't get the most points, especially when it comes to fantasy football. But just the way he's been coming around and showing that he's starting to get back into it, that he's not as injury prone maybe as people think.
We'll get to my thoughts here. You guys covered a lot of what I wanted to say. We talked about Detroit looking like a solid football team on the road. Cleveland, Tampa Bay, EJ mentioned that one. And the Chargers at 5-2. Those games in London, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of them going over there. The game just always seemed to kind of be off a little bit. But the Chargers 5-2. We'll see if they can get some home support. A lot of their home games are usually attended by visiting fans. So interesting team to watch. No Melvin Gordon yesterday. They win. Butch mentioned the New England Wild game against Chicago where Trubisky kind of got pressured on the throw, so he couldn't quite get into the end zone. The Bears receiver catches it at the 1, and New England stops him there. So the Bears now 3-3 in what I think is probably the most competitive division in football, the NFC North. Minnesota, who looked really good yesterday against the Jets. Adam Thielen, I mean, geez, this guy's done something that hardly anybody's done. 7 consecutive 100-yard receiving games to start the season, one short of Calvin Johnson's record back a few years ago for Detroit. You have Chicago, Detroit 3-3, Green Bay 3-2-1, and Minnesota 4-2-1. That's a fluid division right there.
So tight.
It really is. Looking forward to that. Jacksonville, you mentioned, Dave, struggling at 3-4. How about Houston starting off 0-3, winning 4 straight? We talked about your Steelers. Philadelphia 3-4. That game.
Wouldn't have guessed that.
They had that game. They were up 17-0. Cam Newton was getting nothing going, and then just Carolina goes about their business. You mentioned New Orleans 5-1. Justin Tucker missing his first ever extra point to tie the game.
I love that.
My goodness sakes, New Orleans 5-1, and they go to Minnesota next week. Remember what happened in that game there last year?
I know my buddy Dustin Grondin there still has nightmares about that catch by Diggs.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs there. But again, the story continues to be the two teams that have to still be the favorites to make the Super Bowl. Kansas City, Patrick Mahomes doing something that nobody has done and just looking just amazing.
Yeah,
I mean,
just,
that offense is running on full. Who's going to stop that offense? I mean, Jacksonville couldn't do it. Obviously, Cincinnati's not that good of a team, but and then the L.A. Rams just going about their business. Todd Gurley, 3 touchdowns yesterday. Granted, San Francisco struggling a little bit, but right now,
Aaron Donald.
The story's got to be those two teams. They do play each other. I believe, is that game in Mexico City, if I'm not mistaken?
That one is, I think it is.
But
right?
they do play each other in a few weeks there on Monday Night Football, the Rams in Kansas City. But right now, those seem to be the two favorites, at least this far. But like you said, Dave, can all change next week. Any given Sunday, anybody can beat anyone, and that's why I think NFL, it's been entertaining this year. There's just been a lot of good games, a lot of just missed kicks and overtimes and last-second plays. It's really been a good season, I think, for the NFL. Last year, got engulfed in a lot of off-the-field stuff and on-the-field stuff, which is important, but it's nice to see that the action on the field is really has been fantastic, I think, so far this year. Let's continue our roundtable. Dave will get a topic from you. We might have time for one more topic here in the roundtable. What do you want to talk about? EJ will give you first crack at the topic from Dave, and I think he knows. I think we know what he's going to talk about.
Yeah, I think so too. Hey, fellas, you already talked about the football. I'd like to say that the Raptors are 3-0. I definitely want to say that from the start. I don't know how much basketball was discussed before.
We talked the Pistons and the fight there in LA.
Yeah. I know the Raptors are off to a hot start, and it's quiet, looking pretty good, getting in pretty nicely. So maybe we can touch on that afterwards. If you want to throw in your comments about the Raptors and the NBA, you may throw that into this topic. But I want to go the hockey route, obviously. The Toronto Maple Leafs offense looking kind of dull the last couple games, but and John Tavares and Austin Matthews last couple games look out of it. But you know what? The NHL is looking pretty good and surprising. Look at the Montreal Canadiens having a season that nobody would have thought of. The Ottawa Senators are at a record that I would never thought they were at. I thought it would be the opposite with 4-2-1. I thought it would be 1-2-4 or something else. You got the rest of the National Hockey League. I think Winnipeg is still absolutely phenomenal. I love that team, that energy. I know they're not the top of the league or anything right now. But you also have the Ducks, and I see you have the standings up here, Scott, and Peak. The 5-3-1 Ducks without Corey Perry, I didn't think they'd be able to even get more than 3 wins in the first 9 or 10 games. The Edmonton Oilers, as much as a good friend of mine who is an Edmonton Oilers fan and how conceited that he is about how the Oilers, how good they are and stuff, he still thinks. I actually feel pretty bad for that Edmonton Oilers fan base because they just can't seem to get anything right, it seems like. And I think a big culture change needs to happen in Edmonton from the management because I think Peter Chiarelli next to Bergevin is one of the worst general managers in hockey, and I mean that professionally speaking. This is the National Hockey League right now. I just want to go around to see what you guys want to talk about in the National Hockey League and some updates on your end and any surprises or how excited you've been since it started.
EJ, National Hockey League, many teams have played 6, 7, 8 games so far. Your thoughts on the first month of the NHL?
Well, I think that people are for some reason, not talking about the Nashville Predators at 7-1 atop the Central Division, the Western Conference, just finding ways to win games. And when you can put games together early in the year, that's a good sign. That's great to build chemistry quickly like that, going into a year where they're expected to do well. I think the Toronto Maple Leafs, yes, have been a little underwhelming the last few games, but I think that's a team that you're going to continue to see at the top of the Eastern Conference and potentially coming out into a Cup final this year. But the team for me that I'm really surprised to see down near the bottom is the Los Angeles Kings. They still have a lot of good weapons there, sitting at 2-5-1 right now, only 5 points on the year with 8 games played. I think that they are a team that's going to come out of their hole early, and another team that I think needs to find ways to get better here quickly is the Washington Capitals, your defending Stanley Cup champions. I think they're going to find a way to dig themselves out of the slow start that they came out with. I mean, game one, and they looked great. I mean, scoring, 24 seconds into the game, it was unreal. They'll find a way to get back. But I think right now the team that I'm really continuing to watch, and I know, Dave, you'll smile when I say this, is the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Butch, you and I talked about the Wings in the first hour. Your thoughts on Dave's topic, NHL, a month in?
Oh boy, I'm more impressed with the Nashville Predators coach wearing the bull mask here.
Nice.
I thought that was class. And people are not aware of it. They win the first 2 games on the road. He'll wear put on a mask. And I thought he would put on one of them, wrestlers' masks there.
Yeah, right.
He's there with a full-fledged bull mask there, and talked and everything here, great conversation here. But going along with the National Hockey League here, the Kings seem like they're having a coming to Jesus meeting in their locker room. They're not doing as well as to be expected there. Some teams that are doing fairly well. Tampa Bay's not losing their step a little bit there. Winnipeg is doing very well. San Jose's finally getting in the niche and hitting it there. The Predators, I expect them to be one of the top of the road as far as in the National Hockey League. And we haven't heard too much in dealing with the Las Vegas Golden Knights there. But the way that team is constructed right now, all they need is a winning streak, and they'll be back in the picture there of conversation there. Indeed, the National Hockey League is very young right now as far as what's going on. We talked about the Red Wings earlier, and their slew of young talent. And again, I think it's going to be a revolving door of young talent coming in from Grand Rapids to Detroit and back again until they get the correct mix. That's going to make them a lot more consistent team. I'm very happy with them because they're doing things they haven't done in years past, such as blocking shots, protecting the goaltender a lot better than what they have been doing. So for exception of maybe a couple games there, they look pretty sharp in doing that. So I'm going to watch the progress of that particular team in general. Toronto is... they're on a little bit of a whoopsie streak right now here of losing a couple games. I watched that Saturday night, but again, I think Toronto and is going to be in the mix when it comes down to the finals in the Stanley Cup there. I do believe in that there, and along with the Nashville Predators, I do believe in the West will give it a roll for the money again there.
Thank you, Butch. Looking at the standings right now, again, very early. Toronto in first in the Atlantic, Tampa Bay second. I really like both those teams. I haven't had a lot of chance to watch the NHL, but I watched quite a bit of that Tampa-Chicago game they had last night. Boy, Tampa looked good. They went into Chicago and beat them. Tampa 5-1-1. You definitely can't count them out. Montreal, as you said, Dave.
What the heck, eh?
Very good start, 4-1-2 to start the season. But I think when it all comes down to it, that Boston team is still good. They're going to be in the mix. The Metropolitan Division, obviously Pittsburgh's still going to be in there. Columbus, maybe not the fastest start out of the gates, but the Rangers, really bad start, 2-5-1. That's still my really surprise team. I didn't think they were going to win any Stanley Cups, but I thought they'd be better than that. In the West, Nashville in first, 7-1. Really the story of the West right now. And I'll tell you, this team, watch out for the Colorado Avalanche. I've been touting these guys for a while. 5-1-2 so far. Great start to the season. A couple guys that have gotten off to very good starts. Nathan McKinnon, 8 goals in 8 games for the Avalanche, and Gabriel Landeskog. He has 7 goals in 8 games. So watch out for this Avs team. That's kind of my surprise team in the West. Do I think they're going to make it to the Stanley Cup? Probably not, but they're going to make some noise. And I got to love NHL on NBC Sports Net because I don't remember a time that they have had 2 Canadian teams on a game on that channel. Wednesday, Toronto, Winnipeg. A game that we would not be able to see.
The Wednesday night rivalry, right?
That's right. That's right. They got Toronto and Winnipeg. 2 Canadian teams on NBC Sports Network. Thank you, NBC Sports Network, for having that. That's going to be a fun game to watch as Winnipeg's still going to be up there. Looking at the Pacific, I haven't really had a chance to catch too much of that, but you guys both mentioned it. Edmonton and L.A. Some question marks going on there. Vegas with a less than spectacular start, but NHL gearing up to be a fun season as always in the National Hockey League. Dave, I know you got a lot to say about this. Your turn.
try to keep it as quick and simple as Dave possibly could.
10 minutes.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more, Scott, with your Colorado reference, and you have been saying it. So I won't go and say Colorado because that's already been said, and I agree. I just got to say right off the hop, surprising team. This has come from a Leaf fan. Montreal.
Yeah.
I got to say Montreal. Like, I'm not saying they're still good. I still don't think they're a playoff team or going to do any spectacular things, but hey, stranger things have happened. So Montreal's looking very fast, very young, very quick out there. Reminds me not exactly like Toronto a couple years ago, but they're on that path. So you got to give credit where credit's due. And Montreal is up there with that, absolutely. And Nashville 7-1. You like EJ and what you said that you can't, and even Butch, you can't look at that and turn a blind eye because that's probably the best team in the Western Conference overall, next to Winnipeg, in my opinion. And LA's nonsense of having their open or their closed door meeting. Let's back up a second here and let's think. Jonathan Quick is hurt. That is one of the best goalies in the National Hockey League. Okay, now I understand good teams find ways to win. I'm a firm believer of that, all right? But when you have someone named Jack Campbell, who I've watched here in Sault Ste. Marie after we traded like a dozen first-round picks for him, and he was an absolute disaster when he came here, and he's never made it really in the AHL, didn't do that well. I think he had 1 or 2 good years, but, then he comes up here. It hasn't worked out for him. Then you have Peter Budaj backing him up, and Peter Budaj, who's been around the league the whole time, he had a good run a couple years ago when he came back and played in LA a little bit. But you got to think, when you lose someone like Jonathan Quick, that's not just losing a star-studded player. That's losing a leader in that locker room. Is he still in the locker room? Sure, maybe he goes in there, but it's not the same of having somebody being on the ice with you and having that confidence and still to stop that puck. That 1 week goal, your team gets down and say, maybe Jonathan would have had that. Right? Don't say that NHL players don't think that, because they do. I will say right now that the LA Kings got to say, crap, we ended up in a situation where we lost our goalie. If they had Jonathan Quick, I don't think they'd be as bad. Would they be even better? Maybe they have 1 or 2 more wins to be above 500, right? That's where I think LA would be. So they have the firepower, but there's a lot of concerns if this team doesn't work out. They get a lot of these guys that are locked up for 6 or 7 years for a lot of money. Kopitar, Carter, Doughty, Kovalchuk's locked up until he's 41 or something like that. So you gotta think that LA's got to really backtrack and say, wow, we don't have a goalie, so maybe that's our issue right now. You got Muzzin, Doughty, you got Martinez, you got some good defensemen back there in LA, so it's not that issue. It's because some weak goals are going in. Campbell had 1 good game since Quick's injury, so that's been the issue I think for LA. Now Toronto, a couple games that they've had. Offenses went down, but what I've realized these 2 games, not that the offenses went down. Sure, Matthews and Tavares haven't played as well, but teams are watching game tape. These aren't idiots in the National Hockey League or scouts, all right? They watch the games and they see what's best for their team to play against them. And a lot of the games that I even saw on Saturday, I saw the St. Louis Blues play a little bit of the New Jersey Devils in 0-2 style. The trap, the box +1. They played some boring hockey against Toronto, but they had some good odd-man rushes that created from those from that block +1 where they had the guy cheat and they was able to pick off passes. Toronto was being too fancy. You got to just shoot the puck. You got Allison Matthews, who has an absolute cannon that can literally score on his percentage right now. I think is 29%, 30% in scoring almost. So, you got to think, shoot the puck, right? So Toronto even announced today, Kyle Dubas stated that Nylander is not up for trade. Now that he said that trade talks never crossed his mind. I call BS on that, not because I can just talk and chirp Dubas, but I'm just saying at the end of the day that there's somebody who wants $8 million. If you're offering him $6 million, it doesn't fit. What are you thinking of? You're trading the guy. So if he needs to get his rear end in the lineup, because now we're almost 10 games in, working out one-on-one with a trainer or by yourself is not the same as playing in a hockey game. You need to be out in the games playing. He's not playing anywhere. He hasn't played in a couple weeks. You have to get out there with the guys and be around the locker room. So I want him either back in the lineup as soon as possible or trade him. I know Toronto has been getting their door knocked by Carolina a lot with Justin Falk and also the Ducks. So I think if something needs to be done, it's either trade and hurry up and get a defenseman in there, because that's a big question mark for Toronto still, or get Nylander back in the lineup. But at the end of the day, I'm not worried about Toronto. I love hearing you guys say Stanley Cup final, but I'm going to stay back and say I'm just happy to enjoy this team right now. A lot of good hockey, very tight hockey. The Atlantic's very tight, still early. But I'm excited to see how the rest of the year goes.
Dave, real quick, we don't have time for another topic, but I want to get your comments on one EJ's topic, talking about the World Series, Dodgers at Boston. What are you looking for? What do you think?
That's actually a good topic. You know what? Milwaukee. I was flipping back and forth between Toronto
EJ was
and
at
St. Louis.
Game 7, by the way.
Yeah,
You
I
missed
saw that on Facebook.
Yep,
I gave him an old like on Facebook
nice.
there. I will say that I was flipping back and forth between the Blues and Leafs game that day when it was intermission and whatnot. And as soon as the Brewers took out Hader, that's when I said that was it. Now I think they did put him in too early. I really do think, EJ, I don't know if you said that or if anyone alluded to that.
It killed the crowd.
Comments to that quick, but I still think they could have waited to use Hader till maybe the 5th, 6th, 7th, or the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, to close the game. That's where I think they could have waited. Jeffress laid a nice one over the plate for Puig, and of all players, Puig is going to smoke that ball, and he's going to make it look like he hasn't hit a home run before when he's did it. So, the Dodgers deserved to win that game. Their bats were swinging, and they couldn't capitalize with runners in scoring positions in the early innings, Milwaukee. I really feel like that game could have kind of slipped away from Milwaukee. We had a chance to get into it. Boston really beat Houston. I didn't think that was going to happen. I really thought Houston was going to win. Price finally gets a W in the playoffs. This is going to be a very exciting World Series. I think, everyone kind of predicted the Dodgers to get back there, and also predicted either the Red Sox or Houston be the other two teams, other team to come out of the AL, but it was ultimately Boston, obviously. But I just think Boston just looks unstoppable right now. That team is absolute fire. That team is disgusting. Everything you want to say about that team, that is who I think is going to win the World Series.
Let's get to our thumbs up and thumbs down, gentlemen. We got about 10 more minutes of the show. EJ, we'll go to you first, and then Butch. So, EJ Russell, what are your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir?
We'll start with my thumbs down is the Manny Machado, Jesus Aguilar incident, tripping over first base. And I just thought that what Machado did was cheeky and cheaty, and it felt cheap. It's a big chee moment over here, but I think what Machado did there, it felt, I think cheap's the best word. It was low class. When I saw it in real time, I thought maybe he just tripped over him. But when I really dove into the replay there, there's no way that was anything other than intentional. And that's just not something you want to see in the playoffs. The playoffs is about being a better team, not trying to take a guy out. And I didn't enjoy that at all. So thumbs down to Manny Machado. A thumbs up I will give to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers kicker and Canizaro, if I'm saying his name right, missing a kick early in the game and then coming out in overtime and stroking a 59-yarder with room to go. I thought that was great for him. That was an awesome moment. As a Browns fan, I was very upset that he made that kick. But that was an awesome way to come back and finish that game for him. So thumbs up to him. I want everybody to if you're a fan of where I reside, plug your ears for this next part, because I want to give a second thumbs up to the Michigan Wolverines. Now, I'll never, ever do this again, but they found a way to beat Michigan State, a rival team, on the road and move themselves in a position to make the playoff, which is big for Harbaugh. Even though I do not like this team, I do not want them to make it. I want Ohio State to pound them the last Saturday in November. But Michigan, thumbs up this week, did an excellent job of gaining position, moving forward towards their conquest of a national championship under Harbaugh. And they looked like they knew what they were doing. So thumbs up to them. And with that, I'll say OHIO, go Buckeyes, go Browns. I'm done.
Very good, EJ. Nicely done. Butch Davis, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week, sir.
Boy, I can see the steam coming from your head right now in the Michigan State loser. Boy, that's a Kodak moment. I'll tell you right now that, bro. You'll be cooled off pretty soon there. My thumbs up. Don't have too much of it to say here. Let's thumbs up the Detroit Pistons for winning the first two games, and maybe tomorrow night win the third game when they play Philadelphia. Very unlikely here, and we were talking last year, but again, it could happen here. Detroit's on a winning streak here. I'll keep them going there. Thumbs down. Oh, man. I had it on the tip of my head, but thumbs down go there. to the Los Angeles Angels and hiring Brad Osmusson as the new manager of the team here. That sucked. That took the wind out yourselves here, boys and girls. He got a baseball for 1 year, and he's got a job again here. Hopefully the Angels don't keep him as long as they keep Mike Scioscia. So there you go there with those particulars, and there you have it.
Have aliens invading the line here, guys? Butch, are you still with us?
I'm still with you. I want to know what that noise is, too, here.
I don't know. I think the Russians are hacking into our system, but Brad Osmus, thumbs down. Butch, anything else?
No, not really here. Let the, if the Russians are invading, I got to get the hell out of here,
Stick around for a couple minutes, Butch. You stole one of my thumbs down there talking about Brad Osmus, so well played there. Good luck to Anaheim with that guy. The other thumbs down I have is for not the Michigan State game, but the Michigan State pregame, the tearing up of the field, the Stormtrooper March, as it was called by Jim Harbaugh in the press conference, the coaches going back and forth. Enough, okay? Let's just stick to the football. Let's stick to the rivalry. We have so much of that going on in every aspect of life, politically, entertainment, when you turn on the television. Can we try to keep this out of sports and just be civil to one another? So thumbs down on that. I'm tired of hearing about it. I'm tired of talking about it. So congratulations to Michigan. You did a fantastic job. Thumbs up to the Soo Greyhounds here locally. My girlfriend Becky and I had a chance to attend our first Greyhounds game on Friday, and boy, you watch the game, and Dave, somebody that's close to the Ontario Hockey League, the skill level that is out there. I'll tell you what, Barrett Hayton, the number 5 pick in last year's draft, who was back with the Greyhounds. I mean, that guy just watching him on the ice. Morgan Frost, another first-round draft pick, just the talent that is out there that we get to see locally, and Butch gets to see, and EJ, when he watches hockey in his neck of the woods, he gets to see is just amazing to see that level of play, the speed of the game, and it's just so much fun to attend games over there and see this Greyhounds team, and a team that, many of us thought were going to be maybe competitive but not great. 8-3-2, top of the West. I don't think they're going to be sellers, Dave. I think they're going to be going for another one.
Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't they go for another one?
Absolutely.
You can this up. They got the offensive power.
Yeah.
The goalie, everything's clicking. They might not even need to add pieces.
No. Just
leave this team and let it keep going and build those picks back up.
That Hayden, I'll tell you what, fantastic player. Thumbs up, as I mentioned earlier, the Detroit Lions. I get a little nervous getting too excited about the Lions, but watching that game yesterday, I never got the feeling they were going to lose. I mean, they looked in control. They're doing the things that we've said on this show they need to do. 3-3. We'll see how they do against Seattle, but thumbs up to the Detroit Lions. Dave McKeag, your thumbs up and thumbs down for the week before we go around the horn one more time.
Oh, around the horn, I like that. Can we call it? I like.
No, it's already trademarked.
It's already trademarked?
Yep.
Oh, that is actually.
It's
on TV. I didn't know
right.
that. To be honest, I was actually going to do the Brad Osmus one. Was a thumbs
know.
Up.
That's what that was a thumbs up?
Thumbs down.
Oh, okay.
Thumbs down.
Again, that whole marijuana thing, Dave. Want to make sure you're okay here.
Unless Gibbons gets hired somewhere else, I don't know if that would be a thumbs down. But Osmus was mine, to be honest with you. But I'll go thumbs down. I got to say something thumbs down because I haven't the last few weeks. I'll say one thing negative. Toronto's last couple games in their performance in terms of not getting the win. The offense has been died down. It seems like, that they're just kind of died down the last couple games just because of that performance, but I'm sure they'll pick it back up. So I just want to give one thumbs down. I haven't in a couple weeks.
Okay.
I just went that route. I like to remain things positive here, right? Thumbs up. I'm going to go with something locally. Ryan Venderman. I don't know if anyone knows that name. He played about 10 games with the Sarnia Sing in the OHL. This was a couple of years ago now. I think he's in 1994. He's a buddy of mine that actually plays my men's league team now, actually. He plays for Sioux College as well. And they play in the ACHA Division 3 for the Sioux College Cougars, the Division 3. Venderman has 34 points. 34 points in 7 games.
7 games?
Yes,
34 points?
He has 21 goals.
Holy mackerel. Pass the puck, dude.
He's 21 goals, and he's got about 13 assists.
Wow, okay. Pass a little bit.
And he had 13 goals this weekend in the showcase. So the kid has absolutely been phenomenal. So, I know he's going to hear it. I had to give him a shout-out because he's doing absolutely phenomenal. And to boot, he's on my men's league team, a team that's in first place called the Game Sports Show.
Very good.
Our
very
men's
good.
league team. That's the name of the show. And I got to give a second thumbs up to something else us locally, Northern Superior Brewing Company, because today, I know we're kind of going to touch on it, I'm going over as soon as we're done here to taste the game ale.
Oh, wow.
I won't get into it more because I know you're probably going to ask me what's up for this week, so I'll promote that in that
Yeah, go ahead and do that right now. Do it right now, Dave.
So those are my thumbs up and thumbs down, obviously.
What do you got going on this week?
So this week, go back to last week for a second. We did have to reschedule Thursday last minute. There's a couple last minute things that came up with other members on the show, and I respected not doing the show just on Thursday last week. So we scheduled to do a bigger show this week. But I'm going to start with Wednesday. We're going to be at Sports Center Bar and Grill. Be myself, Jamie, Dustin, Matt, and Justin. The panel of 5 will be back.
All-star
and
panel.
Dane is back in town right now. He's home for a couple days. He does want to attend Wednesday and Thursday. I don't know how it's going to fit with the Wednesday show. We'll see. But we do have a show Thursday, obviously, as well at Northern Superior. Wednesday at 9 at Sports Center. Superior will be at, this week will be at 7:15. And it'll be myself, Justin. Hopefully Brad is able to make it, but Kevin Kane will be coming on the show, who's running a hockey management program in Sault Ste. Marie. So we're going to have that this week as well. And we hopefully have a Thunderbird guest. We do have Coach John Parko on November 1st at the Brewing Company. So got a lot of things lined up. This week is the plan to launch for the beer.
Yep.
We're hoping to launch by Friday. If not, it'll be early next week. Blake and Trevor Zachary and North Superior Brewing Company will do that job. That's their job to release the beer. It's called the Game Ale, like we've been talking about for the last 3 months. It's been something in development. Myself, Jamie, and Dane tonight are going to Northern Superior Brewing Company to taste the beer. It's been officially carbonated. I wish you'd be able to come, Scotty. I know I'll throw something over the board.
I'll get one to go.
So it's going to be get released to the public. People are going to ask what the ingredients is in the beer. I'm going to let you go by, look at the ingredients, and taste it and tell me what you think it is. I'm not going to tell you what it is. It's delicious beer. Hopefully everything turned out nice because today was the last batch of it. So that is going to be a very exciting time and very surreal for us to have our own beer get launched over in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Northern Superior Brewing Company is powering that as well. And funny news for you, they fixed our media passes.
Oh, very good. They did fix them. Well, look at you.
Yeah, they did fix the media passes. A little, what's that, squeaky oil, what's that? What's that?
Squeaky oil.
It was something squeaky, gets the oil, squeaky.
Squeaky wheel gets the grease.
That's it. Something like that. I know BJ or Butch will probably saying it on the other end. But yeah, I tried to say it didn't sound good after that. And I lost my flow. Jesus. But that's
Me too, about 20 years ago. It's called male pattern balding.
Oh, that's all right. You still look young.
The flow there.
And beautiful. But anyways, that's everything from my end.
Very good, Dave. Thanks for joining us here. I think you're out of town next week as far as the show, or are you back next week?
I'm hoping to make it. I got a friend's going away party who's moving to the Cayman Islands for work. So
got a couple bank accounts there, ironically.
So I'm hoping we have dinner at Solo. So I'm not sure. It's at 5:30. I might be able to make it for 7 again. I'm going to try to figure it out. So I'm TBD
there you go.
next week.
Thanks for joining us here, Dave. Again, you can find your other shows at thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. EJ Russell, what's in store this week, sir, and what are you watching for?
Well, I'll say this, Dave, don't feel so bad about choking up on your words. I couldn't say philanthropy earlier to save my life. Holy cow.
That was good.
that was awful. But no, I'm thinking that this weekend that I might attend a local college football game in NMU and Michigan Tech in the Superior Dome.
Yes.
Tickets are looking good. I think, my birthday's on Friday, turning the big 3-0. I think I might treat myself to a college football game. So looking forward to that. If I do go, I'll be more than happy to share my experience with you guys, as you know I always do. But happy to be here as always, and pleasure talking with you. And I'll say, Kegger, you better send me one of those beers, otherwise I'm going to be a little upset.
There'll be one waiting for you, EJ, with your name on it. 5 gallons waiting for you, pal.
Thanks, buddy. Good luck, boys.
All right, EJ, thanks for joining us, and happy birthday. 30 years old on Friday. Butch
what?
Davis.
Happy birthday,
you
EJ.
missed that.
Sorry.
It's his birthday.
Oh,
Butch
I'll definitely
Davis,
send you something.
Who I think's a little bit older than 30, not much. But, Butch, what are you up to this week? What should we be looking forward to on Butch on Sports?
Yeah, well, I'm the old man in the group here, but you know what? I want my beer first here. Get it here quicker than a hurry here.
We will.
Yeah, FedEx.
Hey, I'm the beer expert.
That's right. You think. I gotta watch my language here. Let's see here. Some Butch On Sports on Tuesday here. We'll probably do Butch On Sports again on Friday and Saturday due to the high school playoffs and goodies that are going around there. Michigan's with a week off after a thoroughbred beating. And, to add on to that particular day, I ain't seen a scrum like that since the River Rouge E-Course extravaganza where they got on the 50-yard line and they crossed the line and started fighting there, But, well, I see a lot here, Butch On Sports, I'm looking at the hockey game right now. Carolina had 14 shots on goal to Detroit's 1 with like 6 minutes and some odd seconds to go. And they're in their white uniforms tonight here, boys and girls. So with that saying, with Pistons, Red Wings a lot in the next 2 weeks there. I'll probably be attending a couple of those particulars there. And hopefully the Lions on Sunday. Hopefully.
We're working on that, Butch, and thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you next week here at the Wicked Sister.
All righty.
All right, that's going to do it here for the show. Again, want to thank all our guests, Zeke Kaunisto, the general manager of the Soo Indians, Ashton Calder, Lake Superior State University Laker hockey player, a forward freshman. I want to thank Dave McKegg, E.J. Russell, Butch Davis, and our broadcast engineer, Dallas Miller. And again, you can find this show, Dave's shows from Soo, Ontario, Butch's shows from Metro Detroit, and all sorts of sports goodness on thegamesportshow.com or thegamesportshow.podbean.com. That's going to do it here from the Wicked Sister. We'll talk to you next week on Eagle 95.1.
See ya.